Hello everybody and a warm welcome back to Apex Racing and Chill. My name is Zabi and we are live with another round, and it is here at the Qatar. It is round 5 of this 7-round championship. So we're out on the track right now and ready to go racing as we're out here in this qualifying session, as we have many cars. Currently 9 are out on the track, I believe, and we'll find out how many do we have over on the session as cars come out on the track. As of course we pretty much now only have the LMP GT3 cars right now. No more hypercars, as drivers were unable to show up. So as it stands, and let's just sort things out as we're going to get on with all of this here in this qualifying session. While just before we get started, have a look at this racing action. Sorry, before this racing action and qualifying drivers, as there's 18, in fact 15 drivers, so 15 of them are out on the track at the moment, as we're now going to get on and have a look at this about how and what we need to figure out. Well, we're going to try and get on. I'm going to try and get best of race results of these drivers, of what they're going to be currently doing basically on their laps. And just before that, let's have a look at the standings right here, as we currently have up top. Let's go back to the top, in fact, and have a look at this LMP GT3 standings right here. So it is Dominic who leads ahead of everybody with 63 points to their name. Then it is Josh Christie in P2, 55 points to their name as well. Then it is Andy Winters in P3 with 53 points, just 2 behind Josh Christie, and 3 ahead of Jim Sonnydales there with 4th place to his name. While 49 to Lee Hepburn in 5th place, with Eric Williams in 6th. In 6th with 45. 2 ahead of Carl Jones, who's on 43, while Carrick Needham and Iris Bell on exactly 39 points each. While we move over to Mark Harris, who's got 30 points then in 10th place, while Nindor Kamlodi has got 11, while P11 for Kamlodi, and 29 points to his name, 25 points to Karpakak in 12th place. Then there's Brevin, who is in 13th place, has got 24 points. 23 to Nikos Tobias has got 21 points. Then 20, just 1 ahead of Nathan Mann. Tim Patrick has got 18, and then 14 points to Robert Smith. And then 9 points to Vengos, with Alex has got 7, along with Kennedy with Zach Hale 3 points, then 1 point to Anthony Flupp, while everybody else behind has not got a point yet. While race results, obviously we'll have this at the end of the round. Well, these are the previous round results. Round 1 from Spa, it was Jim who won, then Mark Harris in P2 and Dominic in P3 in that GT3. Well, this is the schedule of the championship. It was Fuji round 4, Qatar round 5, then it is the 2 after Kota and Silverstone. But let's not waste any further time and move over to the main out on the track and racing action right here, as we already have drivers on the track for setting up lap times. There's nobody yet with a set lap time, I believe. Or in fact, no, there are drivers, and that's going to be Dominic up to the line. Rather, how fast does he go? Do they improve than their previous time? And 2 minutes, 2:07.40, I believe. We need to figure this one out eventually. Yep, so they're best of their lap times, while it is going to be 2nd place to... Ooh, that's going to be beaten up. I think Lee Hepburn has beaten right there, and Hepburn has beat Dominic by about 1.3 seconds. A brilliant lap from Dominic, but then Dominic has been beaten by Dimitris as well in P2. Dimitris is right there, so that is an interesting thing to see while drivers are catching up, and we're catching up with them. We are also getting up their lap times right up in this qualifying session here at Qatar. Well, Bell goes up to P3, moves Dominic down. Anybody else? Tobias, who is currently in 4th place, I believe. No, in fact, 5th for Tobias right there. Well, 6th is for the Aston Martin of Andy Winters. Well, we're going to move over to more and more drivers now coming over the line, nearly about to make their way. Obviously, we do not have track map, but they have all the information that we should need, and that's going to be the driver in front of your screen, Andy Winters, far away from that finish line. What about Kane? Currently in that Williams there, sorry, in that McLaren in 10th place. While there is going to be another driver, and that is Moreno Dell in P11 ahead of Luca Catti in P12. So there is drivers with times on the board. Hepburn currently fastest in the first sector, not fastest, not quite in that middle sector right there, while there is drivers over the line. Then there is car number 7 of that is of Winters, and there is Dominic, who moves over up to P2 there. Does a very good job to move himself up to P2. What about Dimitris here? He's currently in P3. Can they improve? Purple in the middle sector. How good of a time would they be able to do right there? On board with Sonidis, who went purple in that middle sector, and personal best in the first sector. How about an overall lap? Is this going to be from Dimitris? And it's going to be fastest of them all. Goes purple in those final 2 sectors, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, Dimitris on pole position for the first couple of minutes. There's 8 minutes still remain in the session. Dominic currently in P3. Meanwhile, Hepburn could not improve in those sectors, while Dominic is trying to improve and get better. Currently fastest in that first sector. Anybody else who would be who has done their 2 sectors and yet to complete the lap? That could be Man, and I think that's going to be the Aston Martin. Well, there is drivers moving around and changing lap times throughout the track. Is it going to be Lee Hepburn? He has not improved in that first sector. Meanwhile, Dimitris has found personal best in that first sector once again. So that is an interesting thing to see right there. Well, he has found all of that. Meanwhile, we're going to be trying to look at drivers and also just trying to catch up with anybody who has got what they have. We're going to get driver ID, so we have a better idea of these drivers' names right there and their lap times. As now we're going to move over to, yep, this is going to be it, I think so. While we will have drivers move around the track and set up best laps, and while we go over to Hepburn, who is currently purple in that middle sector, while it is going to be still, oh, Dominic has made it up top. Hepburn is middle sector, but Dominic has went fastest so far, while it is Sondis. He is currently not improving in that middle sector. What about Lee Hepburn? He is fastest in that middle sector and up to the line. That is going to be fastest from Lee Hepburn and goes up top. 1:57.006, fastest of the session so far. Well, up top it is Dominic, who's into the pits right there. Well, Sondis is going to be coming over to the line. How much of a good lap time they do? Not good enough. Currently still staying in P3. Tobias has managed to go P4. That is an absolute brilliant lap. But could they improve even better now? And yes, they can. Or can they? We're going to have to find out. Maybe not. We'd have thought they have, but they have not. Just yet, currently P5 for Tobias there. Iris Bell currently in P4, yet on their previous lap he was fastest, all personal best sectors, while our P2 driver, that is Dominic, and Lee Hepburn is improving, getting better and better on the lap time. So that is an interesting fact to see. And yep, now we've got the driver status of a last lap and their fastest lap, 1:57.006. Hepburn had his fastest lap on that previous one earlier, but how good of a lap will that be? We definitely will be finding out really soon, as we're just making sure we get all of that and everything to go right here in this session, while Dominic and Hepburn is improving even better. Purple sectors in both the ones, while we're going to be on with Sundis in P3 at the moment. Personal best in that middle sector. Fast, meanwhile, is the P4 Iris Bell. Personal best in those two sectors as well. How good of a time this is going to be. How good of a lap will this be as Hepburn goes over the line and improves even further in the 156s there, while Dominic out on the track. Sundis is going to be coming over the line as well. Do they improve? Yes, they do, but they're still about a second down on our fastest time, Lee Hepburn. And look at that. Well, that's going to be Dominic now about to come over the line. What about Iris Bell, who's going to be the next car over the line up in their car? And that's going to be an improvement, bit of an improvement maybe, but not enough to push themselves up the order. Well, Dominic still stays ahead of Iris Bell with about 4 minutes now remaining in this qualifying session. We're going to go to Tobias, currently in P5 so far in the pits, while Andy Winters in that Aston Martin maybe impeded a little by that car in front. As a bit of a moment for Andy Winters, nearly loses the car, while Nandor currently in P7. So I think they're going quite slow, but we're going to find out whether they improve in their first sector or they don't. As certainly there is, drivers and cars yet to come over the line, rather. It is Nandor, and Nandor does improve in that first sector. And how good of a lap will that be? While Hepburn is getting better and better. He's not worrying about that at all, and it just keeps getting better and better right there. While here in this round 4, we have qualifying right ready. 3 minutes now remain. Nandor now still within that first sector so far, so maybe we'll move over to the rest of the pack, and it'll be once again our pole sitter, Lee Hepburn, coming over the line, and this time cannot improve, and just about a time they couldn't improve. What about Dimitris? They're going to be making their way around the final corner now as well. It is about time. They were personal best in the first sector. Can they improve in the final one to make it the best lap for them? No, they can't, as they'll still stay in the P2. What about Dominic right there? Dominic currently in that first sector. Then we're going to move over to Nandor there, I think. Yep, they're going to be now the next car over the line right there. There's a couple of others, I believe so, and that might be Tim Patrick, and yes, it will be, but Tim is going to come into the pits, so we're going to go back to Nandor there, on board and over the line with Nandor, and up to the line, and finish line goes Nandor, and up to P4. That is an absolute brilliant lap time from Nandor there, an excellent lap time there from our driver. On the board, we were 157.741 and enough for P4. That is a brilliant lap time there. So definitely these drivers possibly coming into the pits, getting that extra fuel, maybe a bit of tires as well if they need. But it is all now it takes, and we're on it right here with only a minute and a half now remain in this qualifying session. Who is it going to be that's going to be the fastest of them all? Is it going to be Lee Hepburn? Well, the next car down in P7, that is Andy Winters, currently looking up for an improvement or a betterment of their time, while they're yet to get better. That's going to be more of them, and that's a driver in P2. Dimitris is out of the way of Craig there, so Craig on a flying lap as well, currently in P9. Meanwhile, we were looking at Andy Winters. He's going to be our driver, about to come over the line onto the final corner now. Andy Winters looking to improve and get better than their time. Can they get? As it looks like maybe not, and they certainly don't. I don't think they've even went over the line just yet to register a lap time there. while once again Dimitris doing a decent job in that first sector, but it was again the final two sectors they are unable to get, and only 10 seconds now remain, so whoever comes over the line will be over the line. Most of the drivers into the pits from Nindor, Bell, and all of those drivers have taken the checkered flag there as qualifying came to an end. Unless the top three could do something about it. Lee Hepburn looks comfortable up top ahead of everybody. 156.049 is the fastest time from Lee Hepburn right there in this qualifying session. Meanwhile, down in P13, Carl Jones is on a better lap and on an improvement lap right here. Can they move themselves up the order and get themselves anywhere better from P13? Car number 27. They've got the chance. Currently 2 minutes, 0.085 is their fastest time, at a bit of a slide on the exit of the final corner. Can they get better? Are they about to get better? Over to the line. Could it be Carl Jones? And Carl moves up and over to still staying in P9. In fact, I would have thought they were improving, and in fact they did improve on their final lap, but not enough. And once again, Dimitris on the track right here. One more time earlier, and this time they found an improvement in that middle sector, which they were not able to get earlier. So this could get exciting right here, as Dimitris is the only driver out on the track and the only one that Lee Hepburn will be in pressure from, but he's over a second down, so 1 whole second needs Dimitris right here. Can they get second to get over up to the line at the top of the timing shot? And pole position, no. But they have improved. They brought down that gap from over a second to about 3/10. But how good will that be? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this qualifying session here at Qatar. Hope you all watching really enjoyed it and had this fun. So as it stands, it is Hepburn on pole ahead of Dimitris in P2, followed by Kamlodi in P3. And teams and drivers going to the race. And remember, it's a night race as well, just like the qualifying session. Night race here in Qatar. 60 minutes of racing. It's about to be fun. Who is it going to be the driver? That we're going to watch out to win while we're right here. And there we go, cars and teams are out on the track. We're going to probably get rid of this. Maybe a driver ID, but status we're going to get rid of. So we just know who we are looking at, and not much more than that. Hepburn, Sondis, with Dominic in P3. Right, let's go up the grid then. Hepburn on pole with Dimitris in P2, while Dominic in P3 with Nindor in P4 with that late qualifying lap, with the brilliant lap that was from that driver, the McLaren, Iris Bell in P5, followed by Tobias in P6. P7 for Mike Toon, a new driver in our grid, I believe, with Andy Winters in P8. Then car number 7, well, Carl Jones in P9. In the end, it was an end lap. Well, Craig in P10, followed by Josh in P11. Then it's Tim Patrick in P12. They're currently in the pits, I believe. They've not left the pit lane. While we see Enman out on the track. Before them, it is Moreno in P13, Enman in P14, Luca Gatti in P15 with Kane in P16. Then it is Mark Harris and Chuck, the two drivers, out on the track, while we have nobody else behind them. Eric Williams was there in qualifying but hasn't came out on the track, so apparently we're going to find out how many drivers do we have on the track, and I believe yep, it is Kane final driver. So we have 16 drivers in this GT3 category as we're about to get started with Lee Hepburn starting in first place, and that is Dimitris in second place. And we should be going green flag racing within a few moments time, and as soon as we are, the racing will be on and green flags will be out on the track. Green flag racing we go. It's going to be lights out. Well, Patrick is in the pit lane. That's going to be Hepburn in P1. I'm not sure why he's showing P2. Well, Dimitris in P2 there. Well, it's going to be Dimitris. He loses out a little. Well, it's going to be almost 4 right into it. Stand 1 side by side. And that's going to be Dimitris who takes the lead around the outside and gets the move done. Who would have expected? Well, Hepburn in P2 so far. Well, that's going to be Dominic in P3 right there then. All the way at the start. There's drivers at the back. This is getting exciting, and that is really getting chaotic at the back. There might be things that's happening quite interestingly. We're going to go to the drivers, and it was Iris Bell who's getting chased up by Tobias there, and Tobias on an Endure as well. This is all happening right here as Bell's going to go around the outside, and Tobias in P5. Well, Bell in P4, well, an Endure in P4 there. It's all right here happening, that little train. Oh, that's a little tap, and that's going to be Nandor spun round. Nandor has been spun round by one of the cars, and that was Bell going into the back, and then Nandor going to hit a couple of cars, and it is all chaos right here. And at the start already we're going through and going nice and easy between these drivers as Nandor is going to go around the outside, try and make the move done to make it work right here. Remember, it's a 60-minute race. 1 whole hour of this racing. Hopefully my mic is better than the game audio, because sometimes I could lower the game audio if the game audio is a little bit too much. If any of you could let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I would let it be as it is, as Josh Christie currently in P10 so far. Just ahead of them is Nandor in P9, behind Moreno in P10, while drivers up top are going to be racing, and that is Lee Hepburn and Dimitris going to be racing into it. Turn 1, is Hepburn going to go for it into turn 1? He's going to switch to the inside. No, not this time. Maybe would have thought he's going to go for it, but it wasn't to be this time right here at least. Right, perfect. That is great to know. Meanwhile, the leaders are edited. We're watching the gaps between all the drivers throughout the whole grid, but eventually it is the top drivers, which I'm sure everybody would be interested in watching as well. Obviously, all of that, while virtual energy is pretty much a lot to use between all of these drivers. While grid progress, it is Dimitris who's gained 1 place. There's not many drivers who've gained many places, but obviously, you know, it's obviously just the start of the race, and about 4 minutes in, what we're going to be getting, what is it going to be going in the minds of these drivers at the moment so far? Is it going to be Hepburn going for a move early on, or is it going to be Dimitris showing his defending masterclass, or even Dominic in P3 attacks while waiting for a chance, or just trying to find a chance right here to go for it, while Iris Bell and Tobias currently in P4 and P5 and 6 fighting up ahead with Andy Winters in a race of their own ahead of the cars behind, but quite far behind those ahead of him. While once again we're trying to find drivers within a couple of tenths of each other, and that is Kane in P11, about 6 tenths ahead of Mike Toon in P12. All sorts of that so far. Well, we've 16 cars running in this grid, and Lodi has dropped down quite a bit and quite a lot after that incident at the start of this race. While once again, Dimitris, would have thought is going to be close, but it wasn't really to be right here at all. While it is on 4 tenths between these drivers, Iris Bell and Tobias within a couple of tenths of each other as well. 1.4 seconds, so I would have thought it is within a second. Yep, it is indeed within half a second, which is brilliant to know, as we're going to be finding out. And maybe Tobias, you know, in the previous race at Fuji, we saw Patrick defending throughout the whole race. Yeah, and then pretty much at the very end of it, when it was time for defending, or, you know, the end of the race, and definitely for that indeed exact reason, you know, he lost out a lot of points and pretty much, you know, made a lot of mistakes as well before the end of that race. So there's going to be almost a chance for Hepburn there, as Dimitris slightly runs a little bit wide, and that could have been interesting. Hepburn went for a chance, maybe not this time, as we're going to be on board with Hepburn there. Actually, I'm going to do one thing if I can, while making this work. I'm going to turn the broadcast control on, which we should be able to get at least a bit of data from if we're able to get connected. That's going to basically, not going to give you guys any of it, unfortunately, on the screen. But at least for me personally, right here, it's going to give us quite a bit of an information. And now 410 separating the two drivers once again. Is there going to be a chance for Hepburn? We do not think so. While right here, I mean, there is drivers, gap to next drivers and all sorts of things. But I think that is not what we wanting. What we going to be wanting, obviously, an hour race. So, you know, it's quite of a longer race. You know, not a lot of drivers, or not everybody's, you know, going to be going at it lap one anyways, as we go to the top and TV cycle on board with these drivers. As there we go, this is what we want. Multiple cameras, Lee Hepburn right here, while we're watching trackside cameras as well. So a lot of this cockpit camera nose of the car in front, and look at that, that is really close. 3/10 separating the two. So interestingly, we got to know the tires as well. So it says medium. Maybe that's pretty much the strategy, as apparently that's what the tire it says. And it is 20 degrees Celsius temperature, so quite close of one another. Not much separating. I think there is drivers fighting each other for positions, and it indeed is drivers fighting each other for positions, and that is Craig and Luca there, I believe. No, that is in fact Sondis, who's down up at the bottom. No, in fact, no, it is Luca and Craig fighting for 14th and 15th place, while it is Tim Patrick fighting with these guys as well. So that is interesting to see. Nicely bit of overtakes getting done by these drivers, as it is all happening right here in these first 8 minutes of this race, as drivers are setting up personal best. Drivers are setting up qualifying time. Well, we actually should have race. Yep, we have a race. Indeed, it's the medium tires. Apparently, there's over 80% of energy between these drivers. We have 16 cars running to each other, and the gaps are, and look at that, Andy Winters right there with the Iris Bell. This could be getting interesting right here between the two drivers, and that's going to be interesting. While Bell was going to try and defend on the inside line, he just about does enough to defend his position, where we're going to go back to the top drivers, and that is, and look at this, that's going to be, ooh, that could have been quite close, and I think that's I think, okay, this one, we might have to get rid of this information, as Lee Hepburn's going to go for it on the inside line. He's going to send it on the inside line of Dimitris there. This side by side once again. It's going to be wheel-to-wheel action between the two. We're going to go trackside, as Dimitris is going to come back, and he sends it on the inside line to gain the place back, and he gets his information back once more. And that is a brilliant move right there, and nicely done from our driver at that moment, as Lee Hepburn went for it on the inside line and came back in style, did Sondis, and he did it excellently well. So far, we're going to go back to cockpit at the moment. Oh, interesting. We have rear as well. I think we can go rear of Dimitris to watch out for, basically, considering what we can get on. Meanwhile, drivers within 210s, or in fact, the drivers are in the garage. And I wonder if somebody, no, in fact, no, all of these guys are in the garages. And at the moment, yep, the top two are out, surely. Going brilliant, and once again, as we just switch, there is going to be the top two racing each other, and it'll be Hepburn, who's going to be going side by side with Dimitris there into turn one. Who's going to be the driver coming out on top? Dimitris at the inside line, but he runs a little bit wide. That's going to be Hepburn coming back at him. They're going to be side by side once more as we go trackside back to these drivers. Hepburn's going to go over to the inside once more, back again. They're going to be will to will and gets the move done, or does it Dimitris though? Because Dimitris is not going to leave him at all. They're going to be wheel to wheel once again. They're going to be side by side. Who's the driver? Dimitris has the inside line. It's going to be Hepburn who gets back and slightly has to lose out on that position. An absolute brilliant racing between the two drivers. And sure, we're only on lap 6, I believe. It shows up here on my overlay, and only a couple of minutes into this race, 11 minutes in this race, and that racing has been excellent, while Andy Winters is about 4/10 behind Iris Bell as well. So definitely brilliant racing, and as far as tires are concerned, or this overlay is giving us correct information, it is medium tires for these drivers, and pretty much everybody has that medium tires. And there's a driver in the pit box, and that is Luca, who has decided to come into the pit box quite early in this race. Maybe a bit of fuel needed or somewhat something. Well, we're back to the top two once again. It is in Winters and Bell close to each other, but it is these guys, the top two, as that's going to be Hepburn going for it once again. He's not going to wait for it anymore, or he might slightly have to do that, as we're going to be back out on top, as we're going to go rear on the rear bumper of Dimitris' car to get an idea, as Dimitris is going to go to the inside, go back to the outside, get back on, and he's going to be able to keep his position in towards turn one, taking quite a lot of curb. Right there. Ooh, they nearly made contact. They nearly made contact right there. As we're watching some trackside cameras between these drivers. So that is a nice one to watch out as well, but maybe not nice enough, as we're going to go back to these drivers right there. As now, look at this. It is... Ooh, that helicopter cam between these drivers. Well, Hepburn, 2/10 separating the two drivers. The only driver he had in the pit box earlier was Luca Catti, who is currently back out on the track, and there's going to be drivers racing and using the battery as well. Well, there's not many drivers who've gained many positions, and while the top two are fighting, it is Dominic who has caught up to them then. And now that looks interesting, because Dominic has caught up to the top two in front. He's still about 8/10 behind the car in front, but still there's going to be drivers, and I think one of them, Luca Catti, was pitted, is getting lapped between these drivers at the moment as it stands then. Well, we're going to go to this little brilliant to know what these drivers are going. Obviously, we're only 15 minutes in to this race so far, but the racing has been brilliant. Excellent. 2/10 separating, 2.5 between these drivers once again, and it was a purple sector, purple first sector, I believe, from Dominic there. So Dominic is in fact going out there. Nicely done from him as well. So he's catching up to these drivers, while Andy Williams is catching up to drivers, while Dominic, oh, this little battle is going on while we're focused on the top drivers. There could be racing action between these drivers, and we're going to go back to the top nearly, as we were trying to just catch up with all the action on the track right now. It is Tim Patrick currently in P12, while the fact that was fighting was Tobias Moreno and I believe Josh Christie. Yes, Josh in that Mercedes. We're going to go back to the top two. They're going at it as well. So I believe that's the energy usage I have on my end, and it says 3.8%, 3.8, 3.7, pretty much the average for them to use their energy as it stands. Obviously, virtual energy really important, along with fuel, for them to manage right here, as the fastest lap currently belongs to Dominic, 157.58. I believe that's it's going to be, while we go back to the top two. And, all right, not quite sure what is happening, and I think that is quite of a... Yep, we've got somewhat problem right here. I think we've lost out the leaders, or at least the overlay is going nuts here, because it is slightly bit of a problem right there. We're going to go back to our default one, because to avoid any issues. And no, in fact, and that is quite weird, because it shows Andy Winters. Well, he's not in the lead. And yep, there we go. Hepburn is right there. Well, apparently, yep, he's not being, and yep, he is there. And the top three has now caught up to each other. And this could get exciting right here, as we've lost out the top drivers to each other. Well, Dominic in P1, and that'll be Lee Hepburn in P2. And they're separated by 310s, along with the Art driver in P2. Meanwhile, okay, I was about to say Anthony Flop, but he's not even on the track. Well, we're going to go back to the top drivers once again. Hepburn so far in a bit of a challenge from Dominic, maybe, because Dominic is going to do all that as well to bring him the action. And that fight between the top two is going to be beginning to become the fight between the top three. So that's going to be interesting right again, as the top two are on at it. And look at that, Hepburn as close as it gets to our top driver, as close as it gets to, he can be closing to Dimitris, and I think that's about in this race so far for all of these drivers. And somebody is DNF'd, and that is Kane as it stands. So most of the drivers were in the pits. Kane, who did start, has currently DNF'd out of this race within the first 18 minutes and 9 laps of this race right here, as many drivers are in the garages. We're going to go back to Dominic along with Dimitris, who is currently leading, and the top three are going at it, and as it was. And eventually it is evolving grip. Currently 15.3 Celsius track temperature, so that is eventually as good as it gets, as Hepburn now around the outside and side by side with Dimitris. This is going to be wheel to wheel into the final corner nearly, as Dimitris is as close as they can get to try and defend from Hepburn there. Hepburn's going to do all they can to try and get back that place, while Dominic in P3 going to be watching out. We're going to go on dash on Dominic. They're going to be side by side. Hepburn versus Dimitris. Dimitris has the inside line. Hepburn runs a little bit wide, and Dimitris is just going to keep that place and back to the top once again, as Hepburn might try and come back or take that place, but wasn't to be this time, or isn't going to be this time, at least, to say the least, where once again the top two are at it all the time, every time. And I'm sure that all of this is going to be enjoyable while watching as well. And indeed, absolutely fantastic between the top two. I mean, sure, we haven't seen much from Dominic right here, but I personally believe Dominic, at the moment, just playing the safe game. You know, we're pretty much just only 20 minutes in, so it's still a lot more remaining in this one. And Dominic is probably going to be on it when we, let's say, maybe the ending 20 minutes or remaining time. He's within these drivers, slightly behind, but still not much of a difference. So still about 5 tenths, and I think in the pretty much at the end of the race, or let's say those remaining moments while we're 40 minutes remaining in the race, when we're 40 minutes in the race, then pretty much we would for sure, I think, see more and more drivers on it right there. While oh, can we get more we could get incidents right here in replays. That is nice. Look at this. This little one between Josh Christie as Josh got past Andy Winters, I believe that was. And Josh gets the overtake there. And there is a lot of drivers. An interesting fact. And this is the race start, we could see. Yeah. Didn't even know. And that's Josh Christie getting past Tobias there. As Josh gone past Tobias as well. So we could get back on and have a look at a lot of overtakes between these drivers. And this was... Right, I think this is at the race start. No, in fact, it was then Josh Christie once again getting past Tobias, I believe, or maybe same it was. Meanwhile, this one here between Patrick and Craig on lap 7, it was in the third sector as Craig ran absolutely wide, allowed him to get out. While I believe Kane put the yellow flag, not quite sure what would have been the case, and look at that. This was Kane then causing the yellow flag. Maybe could have been the reason they retired. I'm not sure, but it can be considering they lost out. What about Dimitris here? Possible contact between Hepburn and Dimitris there. The two drivers, they were side by side and nearly made contact between the two as Dimitris Ryan came back on the outside there, and that would have been the case of them making contact. As we're going to go back to the live action now once again to catch up with all of them. And I'm not sure if we're watching them live or with all of that as we just try and figure this out. And indeed, yes, we were watching them live. It was, I think it would have been the replays, and then it would have been them going side by side with each other as Dimitris still in the race lead so far right here with more drivers onto racing each other. As now, as I was saying, Dominic is at it, and Dominic is already on the way to try and have a go, while Hepburn's going to be side by side. They're going to be wheel to wheel between the two. Racing action's going to be on, and one more time they will be wheel to wheel as narrowly they're going to be at it, while now it is Dominic who could be right behind Hepburn there, and it could get exciting if Dominic's able to get past Hepburn there, and Dominic, who waited and been patient into it, turn one, sends his car in. They're going to be side by side, wheel to wheel between the two. Hepburn's not going to leave it at all, and then look at that, and that is once again Hepburn just about saves his position there. And that is brilliant right there. Yep, indeed. I think Dominic is indeed waiting for really a mistake from any of the drivers in front, or even nearly for a moment he went there without even, slightly getting a mistake on the straight. He slightly had a bit of a speed which he could have caught up, and he nearly went on it. So that is all happening right here while the top two are at it. I think Hepburn and Dimitris, while Dominic in that BMW looking forward to try and get on between all of this. Oh, as Dominic's going to go for it, as nearly you would have thought, as he's going to be spun round, as Lee Hepburn has been spun round, and that is going to be absolute problems for Lee Hepburn there. I'm not sure whether he made contact with Dominic there or with Dimitris, and that's going to be a huge shake-up in this race, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to Lee Hepburn there, and look at this. Right here, and it was pretty much, he lost it on his own. Yep, he pretty much lost it on his own, unless he was, yep, so look at this is what happened. And, yep, he lost it on his own. That is all happening right here, as Hepburn lost it on his own, and now Lee Hepburn finds himself down the order. Man who qualified fastest, had the chance to win, had kept the lead at the start, kept fighting side by side, currently finds himself up in P3. He hasn't lost out much though, so I think definitely he's going to be happy about that. Still in P3, while the next car down the order to them is far behind, so I think it won't be much of a problem to them, but at least I think it's going to hurt in terms of they would have at least liked to keep that up. And now losing out on that one would certainly hurt, as they still find themselves in P3, but now over 7.8 seconds of the car in front, I believe. 5.7 seconds, in fact, of the car in front, while Dimitris now will be feeling all that pressure less as well. 1.8 seconds to Dominic, though, so definitely Dominic will be catching up, but not much just yet. And as it stands, as Luca, I believe, is retired as well. Surely he doesn't show DNF, but I think he might have DNF'd as well. We're gonna go back to racing, and anybody, if we could see possible racing action, and there we go. There's a bit of contact between the drivers, and that is Andy Williams and Tim, that's Enman and Tim Patrick going side by side. They were wheel to wheel between the two. Was there going to be contact as Tim Patrick ahead of Tobias there, as Enman has lost out there to Patrick, and Patrick ahead of Tobias as well. These guys were going wheel to wheel. In fact, for a moment you thought they were side by side, not anymore, as Tim Patrick is ahead and leads this little pack so far of P9 between these drivers, and we're going strong once again. Oh, that was contact. That was the contact between Tobias and Anman there, I believe. Yep, this was the contact as overtake. It showed from Patrick on Tobias there. Patrick goes on the inside line, gets past Tobias, and Tobias might try and come back. I mean, this one says Tobias and Patrick, where we could have been trying to look at, well, Dominic. Ooh, yellow flag from Dominic here. Not sure what happened. Has he lost out the car? It says yellow flag apparently from Dominic right there. We haven't seen the action. We don't see the problem just yet. Although the gap is just 2.1 seconds, so I don't think there is a big problem. As we have live action as well between drivers, and that live action's going to be, well, look at this overtake between Patrick and Enman as Tim gets past Enman there. They were side by side, and Tim gone past Patrick and got the overtake done. And so track temperatures at the moment have dropped down. It was earlier 15.3 and now it's only 15.0 between these drivers while we're looking at the action, and these guys are at it even live. They're going at it side by side between Enman and Tobias there. Tobias is going to send it on the inside line of Enman, and Tobias gets past Enman in that Aston Martin, but he's absolutely runs a little bit wide. That might allow Enman to come back, but not the case to be, at least not this time, as they're going to continue and keep at it, as Tobias is going to run wide, and Enman will swoop past Tobias there, and the overtake is done on Tobias, maybe not for the race, but at least so far. Enman gets past him into 10th place and enters the top 10 right here. Let's actually get on this little thing right here with the drivers. Obviously we don't want that. We don't want that as well. What about something else that we could put on this virtual energy? Maybe virtual energy, yeah, for you guys to look at how much each driver has remaining on their car at the moment. I actually can't see it myself as well on the overlay, apparently, as it looks a little bit messy so far. Not quite sure why is the case. And, oh, thank God, it's better now. I did not need, and there we go. It's fixed up as well. It was apparently bugged earlier on my side, but it feels to be better, and any driver who will be looking to go side by side and watch them racing, and that'll be between Jones and Josh, and that'll be Josh on the inside line of Jones. Jones might be there trying to come back at Carl trying to maybe come back on John there. Josh there. There could be chance. Well, Craig and Tobias are fighting as well. Tobias is going to send it on the inside line of Craig there. They're going to be side by side or not just yet. And we're about halfway. Descends as Tobias is going to go around the outside and will get the move done. But did Craig made contact? Let's have a look at the replay right here. Not sure what happened, but I wonder if Craig made contact there. Look at this. They were going side by side, and not sure when that exactly begun, but we're going to be on board with Craig there. In the cockpit of Craig. Not sure if they hit Tobias or Tobias hit them right there at the moment while we watch them Right. Yeah, possible contact, it did say, but we can't see it, so I'm not sure why is the case, basically. Okay, this is the overtake, but all right, this is the contact, and I think it should be between these drivers. It was, and yep, it was. Tobias slightly made contact with Craig there, and that sent Craig spun round and lose that progress, while up top it is Dimitris who leads ahead of Dominic in P2, 1.7 seconds between the top two. Well, Hepburn, after making a mistake of his own, just a bit more throttle than he would have needed, and found no traction, currently finds himself in P3 with Iris Bell in P4, followed by Andy Winters in P5 in a race of his own as well, while Josh, who was overtaking Carl earlier, has overtaken Carl in P6 now, with Carl in P7, while Moreno Dal in P5, the P8 at the moment, approaching to Carl in front. This could get exciting right here. While Mike currently 8/10s to the car in front, and that is Tobias. Has been involved in a couple of incidents here and there. Well, we have 15 cars running with Kane, who retired earlier on in this race there as it stands. Well, these guys are going to be going at it so far. I could possibly have a look at on all of these overlays on the screen, but I don't think it's the right time right now. Well, we're 28 minutes remain, 29 minutes remain, and we're 16 laps in out of possible similar laps, and 30 or 32 maybe, or even a little bit more. While track grip is only going to be getting better in terms of track temperatures, as it was the temperature that was 15.3 at one point is 14.7 degrees Celsius at the moment. So that means there's not much that is happening right here. And one thing that is happening, and that is Mike, who gets past Tobias, and Mike up to P11. Tobias loses another position, so certainly not really having it easy at all is Tobias right there. That could certainly mean a couple of things. And as far as grid progress is concerned, it was man on screen. Josh Christie has gained 3 places from where they apparently started in this race, and it is Tim Patrick who's gained 6+ position from where they started. Currently see themselves up top in 9th place so far. Meanwhile, the leaders have been quite quiet at the moment. 1.9 seconds between the top two so far, while Hepburn in P3 so far. The top 4 is sorted, top 5 along with Andy Winters in top 6 as well, while Josh now over 15 seconds up the next car, before 4.5 seconds up the next car, while Moreno is catching up to Jones, and this could get exciting as Moreno and Jones are getting caught up by each other. And Jones, I think, is going to be in all sorts of pressure from Moreno, because Moreno is going to put that pressure on Jones's car. And I think Jones, that's going to be Jones running a little bit wide. That could allow Moreno to come back, and that could definitely be a chance. Carl just does enough to defend right there, but not at the moment. Com Lodi has dropped down 10 places up at the bottom, and yes, indeed, Hepburn has recovered quite well. And we talk about the recovery of Hepburn. They're only 1.1 seconds to the car in front, as we're going to go back to the interval. And you can watch out, 1.2 seconds, and Hepburn is catching back up to Dominic there, and definitely I think that's what you'd call a mistake of their own, but catching up back again, as they currently have the fastest lap of this race, which should be 1 minute 56.466, I believe. So while we have 14 cars running in on the grid, then another car into the pits, and we've lost out time in the top 3. Might again be getting up on it as Moreno spun round, and Moreno has been spun round, and we're not sure what exactly went wrong. Either it was them making contact with Carl, or something else strike them, and I wonder if you could catch up back. well, it's the overlake. What about, go to the yellow flag from Moreno here. Let's have a look at this. And he's lost it on his own pretty much. He indeed has. So look at this. We're going to go on board with him and see what exactly went wrong. Let's go on board to exactly see what went wrong. So just on the exit and lost it on his own. I don't think there was any contact between Moreno and Carl. So he just lost it on his own. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we had. And a driver losing their car on their own. So far, we're going to go back to the top, and already Hepburn has also, while Jones is now going to be into the pits, and Carl has retired, while Moreno is going to be recovering up back and ahead of Moreno. Meanwhile, Mike is exiting the pits. Tobias in the pit box, and I think Carl has retired out of the pit, out of this race, I believe. I'm not sure why, but at least that's what it said. Carl has retired out of this one, and indeed they have, along with so Luca Catti was DQs, disqualified maybe, and then Joe Kane and Carl's the two drivers who have retired out of this race. Well, Dominic, for a moment we would have thought he's catching up to the car in front, but maybe not, as Dominic is now going to be putting will be in all of that pressure from Hepburn, as Hepburn has done an excellent job right here to catch up back to the top of the timing chart of this race, with about 23 minutes now remaining, 23 and a half minutes remaining. And Hepburn, after a mistake of their own, doing an excellent job right here. And I think we've had a lot of decent insight, I believe, in this race with the help of this overlay to know what exactly happened and what went wrong at certain things for drivers. So we've seen many drivers in the pits, but not many in the pits, only a couple of them. While Dominic, it is Hepburn whose recovery we're watching, but Dominic is catching back up to top, and I think he's going to be catching up to try and get ahead of Dimitris there if he can, and he runs a little bit wide. Dominic has run slightly wide. That might cost him a little bit, and almost loses the car once more for a moment, but gets back in control. But not enough. I think he's going to be in trouble now. Hepburn is going to be on the way to try and get past Dominic there, and Hepburn's going to be there right around the outside into the final corner, and Hepburn gets back into second place. What he lost all those laps ago has caught up back on lap 20. That's going to be, no, that's 19, I believe. 20 would have been going into it. So absolutely excellent recovery from Hepburn there. So he's definitely catching up all that now in this race so far. Obviously no more hypercars, only GT3s racing for the rest of the races remaining this season. And brilliant between these drivers as the track grip only gets better and better right here, but the track temperatures getting better. Overcast 18.8 degrees Celsius, and very impressive indeed from Hepburn. I think especially the type of a spin he had. He slightly had a spin, lost out, and it was quite a bit of a problem. You know, we would have thought maybe he's going to have such an incident. Any other driver would have thought maybe their race is going to be over, but not for Hepburn, as they've now recovered and over 1.2 seconds to the car in front, but they could be catching up back up to the car in front in no time, I think. So it's pretty exciting so far to see. I think Dominic 9/10s, he's sure lost out to Hepburn, but he isn't out of the order. I mean, Monero is going to be on. And Moreno, look at that, to N-Man going wheel to wheel. These guys fighting for 8th and 9th place. Going to be at it. So it's about time. I think other drivers are going at it as well. And 20 minutes now remain in this race. Round 5 as N-Man's going to run a little bit wide. That'll allow Moreno to get past. And Moreno will be able to get past already. Nice and easy. Overtake will be done, and a brilliant move comes up top as well. While we go back to the top, it is Hepburn who is back within a second of Dimitris there. And overtake is on. Maybe not this lap, but the next one right there is lap 21 for the top 3 drivers. And that electrical energy is dropping down as well, 25% for our leader, I believe, as Dominic slightly goes a little bit wide, and about 21% to Hepburn and 23 for Dominic there, so that could be interesting. Management, well, Mike Toon is into the pits, and another driver into the pit lane there. Tobias might have visited the pit lane as he recharges energy, unless he's not used that while not many drivers have pitted as well, so that's going to be interesting. At least the top drivers, when they're into the pits or they're needed to make a pit stop. And Hepburn is only getting closer and closer to Dimitris there. It's all light right now, and a nice little track side camera between these drivers, away from our cars, actually, apart from that single camera which we saw. But Hepburn once again 6/10 to the car in front now. 19 minutes remain in this one. Another lap which we will go over the line, and it'll be the case of who takes when. We've lost out 2 drivers, 3 in this race since the start of it, which was Carl Jones, Kane and Luca. 3 drivers out of this one. Hepburn ever closer. Hepburn might have the opportunity right here. He almost has the opportunity to get past Dimitris there, and this is about to get exciting into the final corner. Lee Hepburn right behind Dimitris there. Hepburn, who made a mistake really early in the race, lost out the lead. Nobody thought they were going to be able to get that back, but they might be able to now. They're going to be wheel to wheel once again. We're unsure who's going to be the driver leading into turn 1. Is it going to be Dimitris? Is it going to be Hepburn? They're side by side once again, and they have to make sure they do not come out of this one on a mistake or a contact, and that for them to do their progress undone once again. So just having to back out there, Lee Hepburn playing the safe game just for the moment, and definitely waiting for an opportunity as soon as it arrives once more. Oh, there's going to be time as Hepburn nearly goes for it on the inside line, but Dimitris does well to try and defend his place, and definitely Dimitris has been doing all that defending throughout this whole race. It turns a little bit wide. Hepburn's going to go for it. He's going to send that car in, but Dimitris is going to come back. But will he though? As that's about it, as Hepburn gets past Dimitris, and that's going to be time. Dimitris as he tries to come back once more, but Hepburn does excellently well to get past Dimitris there. I think all the defending all he could do, but now it's going to be the case of Hepburn could have speed and overtakes, but can he have defending? Can he defend there? We're going to be watching from the rear of their car. It's about it to find out what we're going to be getting right here, as Dimitris could get past Hepburn any moment now there, as we have 17 minutes remaining in this race. Lap 8:22 so far. It's going to be lap 23 on the exit on the end of that lap. So we're getting to the end of this race. Lap after lap, and Dimitris might go for it. No, I think he wasn't close enough to be going for a move just yet. And Dimitris does just about well to stay behind and then not to lose much time as well. I think Dominic pretty much going to be settling in for a P3 here. Earlier on also, you know, they were simply trying to just capitalize on a mistake from one of the drivers in front. I think he's going to be doing that same again if he is able to do the wild. It's going to be Dimitris. He's going to send it as Lee Hepburn run a little bit wide and nearly going to make contact, and Hepburn's pushed wide, but he's going to come back and back in the lead of the race. Possibly Dimitris slightly let him get past there and not fight it since he pushed him a little bit wide, but that's going to allow Dominic to come back. It is absolutely epic now. These guys fighting each other have allowed Dominic to come back, and this could be anybody's game as Dimitris runs a little bit wide once more slightly, but Dominic's still about 3/10 behind. Not close enough, not able to get past, and yet to get the move, as that was a bit of a slide from Dominic, but now it's about time to watch out whether Hepburn is going to pull away and form a gap from Dimitris there or not. Or are we going to watch out on something else, or maybe we're going to watch out Dimitris come back, or even these guys fighting back whilst Moreno, and Patrick are going side by side. Moreno and Patrick going wheel to wheel between the two drivers, side by side action, as Moreno's going to go for it on the inside line, while we're enjoying the action between the leaders somewhat in the midfield, as well as P7 up for the line between Moreno and Patrick, as Moreno will have the line up to himself, that inside line. But then it is Enman coming up behind as well in P9. Nicely done. Tim Patrick loses the position. Enman at it as well, as Lee Hepburn has the fastest lap of this race. Nobody yet able to get closer to them at all. Meanwhile, Dominic is going to send it on the inside line, as just does well. Does Sonley there to try and defend and keep up that place. It's going to be side by side, wheel to wheel between the drivers. And Dominic once again just about does enough, just about to keep up his position. Or in fact, Dimitris keeps up his place as we're on lap 24. What about Josh Christie here? No gap to his previous lap. Maybe the previous lap was deleted because of track limits. And interestingly, we're not even looking at these other drivers, as Iris Bell in P4 with Andy Williams in P5, Josh in P6 with Moreno, Enman in P7. Ted Patrick's lost it then with Craig in P10, Tobias in P11, Mike Toon in P12, followed by Lodi in P13 with Joseph in the pits. So 13 cars are running at the moment, and Tim Patrick is on the line, and so is the overtake for him to try and get past Dimitris there. Can they get past though? Dimitris had defended his lead for a long time, and this time around the outside that will be Dominic, but not again. Just once more, just keeps his line, does Dimitris, and keeps up his place, comes back into the lead. I think Lee Hepburn improves even further on their fastest lap, and that'll be one more time. Dominic switches to the outside line. They're going to be side by side into turn 1, and one more time Dimitris just does well to defend his position, and he does it nice and easy. But looking at Lee Hepburn, he has gained over 4 seconds now to these guys. Possible victory indeed on Hepburn's way, as if things go as smooth as it is. Nice and easy between these drivers. Brilliantly done so far from them right there, as they're going to be on right at the moment so far. It's all about it between them. Anybody else on the track? No, not many drivers now actually within close range of each other, but these guys, while Hepburn over 3.8 seconds, so it is between Dominic and Dimitris, within a couple of tenths of each other. And anything else we could find out, and this little contact between these drivers we're going to be watching up then as it stands. We were watching, I believe, between these drivers at this point. So Dominic and Dimitris making a bit of contact. Apparently it says possible contact, so maybe it had made that contact, or maybe not. Apparently we're back live. What about Tim Patrick and Enman? But now look at this, as it is a overtake from Enman on Tim Patrick. Look at that. So Patrick is down a little bit wide and allowed really easily to get past Tim Patrick there, I believe. Eventually, as we're now going to go back to live racing once again, as we watched out many incidents in this race throughout the race so far. And as now look at this, Do we? Oh, what has happened there? As Hepburn. All right, Hepburn's in the pits. I was quite shocked. I was like, not sure what happened, but it was Hepburn who came into the pits. Now, all will depend whether Dimitris and Dominic come into the pits, and when do they come into the pits. While Hepburn is about to exit the pit lane at the moment. And I think Dimitris, I mean, in all honesty, and you know, sure, Dominic has been nice to manage his base and has been great, along with Hepburn doing an excellent job. Dimitris has done an excellent job as well. Just because he's not attacking, we think maybe he's on the back foot, but he certainly isn't, especially, sure, he lost to Hepburn, but he has been excellent in that defending. He did till the moment. I think Hepburn got past him up until then. He did an excellent job as well, with now only 9 to 10 minutes remaining in the moment in this race. But exiting the pits, any Winters in the pit lane as well. So those drivers in the pits in these ending laps is any Winters. Interesting to find out where they're going to be exiting out of it right here. And Dimitris once more does that brilliant defending, an excellent job from them so far. Well done from our driver there, as there's going to be Dominic nearly going for it one more time, but it wasn't to be. Lap 28 right now, with about 9 minutes almost remaining in this one. It'll be Dominic who comes into the pits. Yes, it does. So Dimitris continues. Dominic comes into the pits. And then it is Lee Hepburn who's the driver. Oh, Hepburn's got Bell behind him. Hepburn's got Iris Bell. That could get exciting right here. With Dominic in the pits. Currently in the pit lane, I believe that should easily... Oh, he's in the pits again. That is interesting, and Lee Hepburn, who would have thought is going to be up top at the victory style, but he's in the pit lane for the second time. I'm not sure what exactly went wrong there for them, but that is an interesting one right there. As they're into the pits once more, they're going to be back out, maybe change tires or maybe a bit of fuel, but not sure. Then Hepburn, possible victory chance gone then. Still no idea. Anything could happen though, but certainly something that's a bit of a shock, to be honest. Especially at this point in time in this race. Could be the case. I mean, a couple of drivers have pitted, and that's Enman and Moreno into the pit box as well. So, you know, not more than one, pretty much. You know, a couple of drivers into the pits then up here in this point in time so far. Well, obviously green flags. None of that, has 6 minutes, less than 6 minutes now remain, and now it is Dimitris into the pits. That could allow Iris Bell to take the lead of this race, but are they going to be able to do so? Whereas Lee Hepburn is over 25 seconds to the car in front and over 45 to the car. To the leader right there. Well, Bell is now into the pits as well. So Bell making that pit stop along with our race leader. Is that going to allow Dominic to take the lead or Hepburn to take second place? With 6 minutes now, proper 6 minutes remaining in this race. Well, we've went over to lap 28 now with the top three into lap 28 right here. And excellently, as that's going to be now really close, as Dimitris has came out so close to Dominic there, and this could get absolute exciting. Well, Bell is now going to be there as well. Where is Hepburn? Hepburn in P4. Well, Bell now coming out of the pit lane, as that was Tobias quite close. So now this could get exciting. Fight for P3 and a fight for P1, and that race victory and podium is up on the line, and especially that podium or that race win could go anybody's way. Dominic or Dimitris here, and I think both of them have done an excellent job, but Dimitris especially because he's had to defend, and he's excellently defended much and a lot of it. So I think if he's able to possibly get that victory or at least have a chance at winning, it's going to be the case of what he can do most of this one right here. We're going to go back to the top while okay, there is once again we're going to have to watch out for, and yep, thankfully is back once again as right, we just needed to catch on. They're going to be side by side, wheel to wheel action between the two, as this is going to be side by side action. Dominic for a moment of thought is going to get past, while Tim Patrick and Enman at the back are fighting as well. But while we're having fight for the race lead, we're going to focus absolutely purely on that, as the top two are going at it. This race has surely been a lead dominant race, but dominant in terms of fighting and racing action, not nearly, as that's about one more time there could be a proper chance on the onboard action between Dominic and Dimitris there. Dominic really is right behind Dimitris there, taking all that slipstream, all that toe, and Dimitris is going to run wide. That's going to be a golden opportunity for Dominic to get past. Can he get past? No, he can't. Would have thought so, but he isn't going to be. And a drive-through penalty to Enman, I believe it's a DT, so possible penalty could be coming up, and they should be pitting now to serve the drive-through penalty there, while it is a chance once more. 3.5 minutes remain, still unsure who's going to be the winner, unsure who's going to be the driver that takes the victory. Well, Hepburn in fourth place as well. He's currently out of the podium site. Maybe getting back to it soon if he gets past Iris there, while Dominic keeps his lead to himself. Well, nobody else really within a second of each other, so that's about it in this one. About 3 minutes now remain, and I think those 3 minutes should give us 2 laps, I believe. So technically at the end of this we should get lap 30 and pretty much lap 35, lap 31, or maybe 32 laps as I said earlier, but possible lap 30, 31 possibly would be eventually the case, as he runs a little bit wide and Dominic makes a mistake, and Dominic there absolutely runs on the gravel, and that could potentially have him risk on losing that progress, and he's already losing that progress up top. We could find out between these drivers, and 1.6 seconds to the leader now, while Hepburn is back in the fight of a podium right here, and that third place will do for Lee Hepburn. In fact, Hepburn has lost out 2 positions after starting at the top. Oh, Hepburn slightly did he made a mistake there, as he almost went into the back of Iris Bell there, but Iris just does well to keep it ahead, and then Hepburn not to lose many places as well. This possibly might as well be the final lap. I'm unsure of it, but 144 seconds remaining. That is less than what currently average lap time is. Hepburn's going to go around the outside, but that in fact is a lapped car. He's got in front, and that is Enman. He's going to have to get out of the way right here with many drivers up top. And Hepburn on their way. So we're going to have to find out, I mean, considering we're basically we're going to be getting another lap or not eventually at the moment, but right, we have a trackside camera, which we shouldn't. Well, Dominic about 1.2 seconds to the car in front, and our race leader Dimitris has ran an absolute excellent race till the moment so far. How good of a race can they do, and how good of a race is this going to be? Meanwhile, we have Hepburn 6/10 to Iris Bell in front, who got the undercut, I believe, or rather overcut, in fact, on Iris Bell. While these guys are coming around the final corner. All right, 21 seconds, so possibly we will have that final lap, so it'll be 31 laps. Indeed, then I guess 12 laps remaining. Maybe not all of them will go on to start another lap, but will these guys will. And lap 31 for them, while Iris Bell might not be able to start another lap. I'm unsure whether they'll be able to start a lap, all taking the checkered flag. And if that's to be, this could get exciting between these drivers. Is it going to be Hepburn, or is it going to be Bell coming over the line and on to lap 31 as it stands for them? So no checkered flag just yet. It's going to be only until after the leaders finish this race. Hepburn might have the opportunity, but Iris just does enough to defend. And excellently well done to Iris there, and defends his position while we're trying to focus on Dimitris and Iris on the verge of losing the place to Hepburn, while Dimitris in P2, 1.6 seconds to Dominic, who has done an excellent job as well on this race podium so far. Iris Bell at the moment looks nice and easy for a podium here. Can he get it though? I think if he doesn't, or regardless of if he does or not, I think we're in for a photo finish here. Well, Josh Christie is on his way. He's on his way to get past Moreno there. Maybe not this time, as our race leader. We're going to go back on board with our race leader, Iris Bell, still in P3 there. We're going to go back to our race winner. Not our race winner, sorry, our race leader, who is technically going to be our race winner, just coming around the last couple of corners now. And it'll be the time that is going to stand out the performance of the top two in this race, and especially Dimitris. He lost out the lead a couple of times, but stayed dominant, and he was attacked so many times there, but Will did not bottle and comes over the line after a defensive masterclass to win round 5 here in Qatar, and takes victory ahead of Dominic in P2. And absolutely well done with Iris, who gets P3. No, we're yet to find out. This could get exciting. Who gets the better exit out of the final corner? Is it going to be Hepburn, or is it going to be Iris Bell? They're going to be side by side, and it indeed will be a photo finish for P3, and it'll be Iris Bell who gets third place, with Hepburn in P4, followed by Moreno and Andy Winters, in fact, is yet to take the second flag, with Moreno in P6, while Andy Winters is on his own, while Moreno is in P6 with these drivers in. It is all happening right here, and ladies and gentlemen, that'll be Andy Winters in P5 as well, another driver up to the line. And that was an absolute brilliant racing action between these drivers, and I don't think they've taken the checkered flag, and they certainly have. I think Moreno has taken the checkered. No, Moreno hasn't. Andy Winters has, but Moreno hasn't, and this could get exciting. Moreno and Josh Christie, maybe a little bit of a spice between the two over the line. No, it won't be, as Moreno over the line takes 6th place, Josh Christie 7th place, and Tim Patrick on their own at the moment. And I believe Craig has taken the checkered flag. Yep, Craig has taken the checkered flag, so everybody has taken the checkered flag apart from Patrick right here in this race. Right now, an absolutely excellent racing between all of these drivers, and they've did an excellent job so far. Everybody has taken the checkered flag, and now the final driver that was up to the line, Tim Patrick, finishes in P8 as well, so excellent job from everybody. And as race results stand, it is Dimitris who wins ahead of Dominic in P2, with Iris Bell in P3, followed by Lee Hepburn in P4. It wasn't to be on the podium for him, and Andy Winters with a nice podium as well. P5, sorry, not podium, but it was P5 for Andy Winters. P6 for Moreno, P7 for Josh Christie, P8 for Tim Patrick, P9 for Craig, then did a decent job as well. And Man in P10 with Tobias in P11, followed by Mike Dron in Toon in P12 with Comlody in P13. And then it was Jones who DNF'd. So we had Carl Jones, Luca Catti, and Kane Will, 3 drivers who DNF'd. Well, there is drivers other ones, but I don't think they started. And absolutely brilliant. And nice and easy and brilliant racing. I wonder if we have... oh, sorry, that was not to be, but I think I wonder if we have the racing between... Not the racing, basically the top 3 podium finishers. I think we should have race results if we can. And yep, yes we do. And no, in fact, that's not the case. It's from round 2. I wonder if we would move over and get results. And indeed, we are getting results from other rounds. So that's a nice one as we're... Alright, so Hepburn got a drive-through for track limits. Alright, so thank you for letting us know. Basically, I was wondering, I couldn't spot it on the overlay, because basically looking at so many things. So Hepburn, who won in round 4 at Fuji, has to concede as the results are not yet out, but we saw that top 3 for that. It was. So that's going to be the end of it then, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Hope you all watching enjoyed it. And this was myself, Zabi, bringing you guys all the action. And see you soon next time.